Welcome back. Welcome again. And I just want to say thank you for listening to the Dear Young Person podcast. I hope that you have found what I've been sharing to be useful. And I hope that it helps you as you navigate this season of your life. All right. So today I want to talk about something that I sort of stumbled on in the last year, and it's a mix of two things. The first part of it I stumbled on. The second part of it I've known for a while. It's overproductivity. That's the first part, and the second part of it is burnout. So it was a random day. I was having a conversation with a couple of friends, and I was talking about how I've been taking things off my to-do list. Like, oh, I put this thing down and then I just take it off like, oh, I'm on a roll. I'm doing really great. I'm so good at this adulting stuff. And then I realized that while I was taking a lot of things off my list, I was stressed. I was tired. I was productive. I was so productive that I was burnt out, which is sort of ironic is not the word, but it's a dilemma anyhow you want to look at it. Because you're putting in the work, you're getting the job done, but inside you just always feel so drained. It's like I don't have it in me to go again. I don't have it in me to go again. And I didn't realize how much of a thing that was, that you can actually be not just productive, you can actually be overproductive, and it can lead to burnout, which is why I want to talk about burnout today. Dear young person, it's time to talk about burnout. Yep, the B word. Even I don't know if that's a B word, but I'm just saying that. Anyway, burnout. If I was to define the word burnout, I'm not even sure how I want to define it. I think it would be similar to what I just said about overproductivity, right? Burnout is what happens when you put in so much time, so much energy, so much effort into doing the job, and you're getting the job done, but you realize that instead of the high you get of doing the job well, that is sort of something that you can use to like tide you over, you just feel drained. So it's pretty much where, let's say you've been going at it, you've been doing the work month in, month out, but there is no, like, because there are no structures for you to rest. One day it's just like, I don't care anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And then the same job that used to make you so happy, that you used to get out of bed excited to do, you just feel so drained. You're like, maybe I should just quit. Sometimes it feels like you start to have these existential crises like, why am I here? Am I in the wrong job? What's going on? What is even about this life anyway? So, and I'm saying this from experience because I have gone through the whole job part. I've gone through the whole existential crisis. Oh, why am I here? What do you mean every day is just to wake up and work and then I will die? What is all this adulting? This. Did I ask for this? What if I wanted to be a goat? I've asked myself all those questions, and I wish I could say I've only asked myself those questions once. But oh, you live and learn. Anyway, how do you handle burnout? Let's say you've asked yourself all these questions and you're just sincerely tired. When you speak to your friends or when you hang out, it's like, guys, how are you people surviving this adulting? How are you people doing this? Because I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Anyway, how do you handle burnout? The very first thing is that you have to first see work as a gift from God. Now, before you start to argue, this was something I learned from experience. I realized that man was made to work. I don't know if you realize that man was made to work. That when you are idle, let's even take out the aspect of money, right? When you are idle, like even if your bills are paid, but you have nothing to do, you start to fret. You're like, okay, yes, maybe I left my job for a while. I took a sabbatical, right? And I've been chilling. Week one, I'm chilling. Week two, I'm just like watching movies in my pajamas. I'm calling my friends. Week three, I'm visiting my friends. Week four, I'm just traveling the world. At some point, it's going to be like, what am I doing with my life? Is my life wasting? It was a jarring revelation for me that man was created to work. Yes, yes. I mean, we read the book of Genesis and we see that God created Adam, all of that. Next thing, he put Adam to work. And you're like, oh, that's also good and fine. But we seem to forget that it's a mirror into the fact that man was created to work. So when you spend so much time being idle, you start to miss work. I've had friends who go on leave. In fact, let me even say I've had friends. Me, the very first time I took 2 weeks off. No, it wasn't even 2 weeks off. It was 1 week off. I took a week off work. After like 3 days, I was bored. I was like, what do people do with their leave? And I get that on one hand, it can be bad, but I really think it's an inkling into the fact that man was created to work. So work is a gift from God. But shocker, so is rest. So is rest. Work is a gift from God, and so is rest. So God did not create you to just work. He also created you to rest. There is a lot of exegesis that we can do about the rest that God gives in terms of salvation and how we've rested from trying to meet some sort of moral code, and now we can just rest in the salvation that Jesus has gotten for us. But this isn't time for that. Just know that God created us to work, but God also wants us to rest. Anyway, the second thing that I want to call out is, and I know that some people will hear this and they'll just roll their eyes. Can I roll my eyes? I can't roll my eyes. They'll just um they'll just roll their eyes. But it's something that I've discovered to be really helpful, and it's journaling. I think that as human beings in this current day and age, we live in a world where we are constantly assaulted with different things. And when I say assaulted, I mean it's like you're bombarded with information all of the time. You go out, there are billboards, there are people doing stuff. On the radio, they're saying stuff. On TV, they're saying stuff. In your books, like your PDFs, on your Kindles, or your paperback books, right? Somebody is always saying stuff. I mean, right now, I'm in your face, I'm saying stuff, or I'm in your ears, I'm saying stuff. We are constantly bombarded with a lot of information, a lot of messages, a lot of things that it feels like your mind does not have space to declutter. And this is where journaling comes in. Because journaling is you saying, I want to spend this time with myself, decluttering my mind. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something you do every single day like clockwork. Oh, okay, I must journal today. Oh my God, I didn't journal today. No. But it's just something that you should do consciously. Learn to get your thoughts. And it doesn't even have to be a physical journal. It could be on your notes app on your phone. It could even be, because there's some people that don't like to write. So what they do is their journals are voice recordings. It could be that as well, as if you like to listen to the sound of your own voice. I don't in any way, shape or form. But journaling is a good way to declutter your mind. And when you do this, what you realize is that as you're maybe writing about how you feel or talking about how you feel, it puts into perspective the emotions that you're currently dealing with. So it gives a name to that. Oh, I feel like, it gives a name to that feeling, right? That's what journaling does for you. The third one is, and it's going to sound a bit ironic coming from me, it's move away from the screens, which is weird because right now you're either watching me on your screen or listening to me through your screen. Anyway, move away from the screens. Like I mentioned earlier, there are lots of ways that your mind is currently being assaulted, whether it's from the books that you're reading or the movies you're watching or the videos. There's so much content in the world for you to consume. And no one person was meant to take in all of that. It's a lot. So, if you can do a digital break or a digital detox, it doesn't even have to be something so, what's the word I'm looking for? So crazy, like maybe you just go off to an island for like 7 days. No. It could be as little as, okay, maybe for the first 15-20 minutes of the day, I wouldn't be on my phone. I will use that time to get my thoughts out, to plan my day. Or after work for like 30 minutes, I will not look at anything screen. I'll just spend some time writing or taking a walk in nature. You know, one thing I recently learned is that when I take walks without my headphones or my phone, even though I typically have to go with my phone unless I'm going with my husband, because oh my god, I suck at navigation. I don't think that I have sucked so bad at anything in my entire life as much as I suck at navigation. It's not so crazy. Like I can find my way. It's just that I will get lost a lot before I find my way. I don't like to get lost. Anyway, I found that the times where I took a walk without my headphones, or without my phone, I was more present. Because it's all too easy to say, oh yeah, take a walk. But as you're taking a walk, you're listening to a podcast or a song or a sermon or something. And in that time where your mind is meant to be sort of relaxing, you are instead filling up on more. So as much as you can, move away from the screens, even your hardcover books and all of those. Just use that time to sit with yourself. As a human being, it's very important that you can process. Like, it's very, very important that you can process your thoughts, that you can process how you feel. And one way to do this is to actually sit with yourself, get to know yourself, get to know your quirks, get to know the things that easily get you annoyed. Because see, when you're burnt out, you are somebody who is cranky. Every little thing pisses you off. And if you don't sit with yourself enough, you won't even know that that's the reason why you are cranky, right? So move away from the screens for a while. The fourth one is do things that spark joy. I don't know why I was so excited about that point, because for me, things that spark joy, almost at the top of my list is eating. It's food. Oh my God. Every time, like now, I just remember that song by Pastor Lawrence Oyo where he was saying, I bless God for food. Because, God, as I'm closing my eyes now, I'm thinking of proper afang soup. Oh, Jesus. Or meat pie or jollof rice. Or Singaporean noodles. Or masalam and Thai curry. Or beef rendang. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it well. Anyway, I digress. But honestly, see, food up there. God really ate with food. Do things that get you really excited about life. Those little things that even may feel a bit mundane, whether it's even hanging out with your friends or taking a walk if you're that kind of person, or going to the gym, going back to the gym, or learning a different kind of fitness, like maybe instead of doing yoga, you're trying to learn Pilates, or you take a dancing class, or you take a singing class, or an acting class, or a cooking class. Anyway, do things that spark joy. Do things that make you excited. Whether it's even hiking, I really want to hike. Well, do those things that get you excited, that spark joy in you. Lastly, and this is very important for the believer in Christ, most times burnouts are sort of like a signal from God that it's time for a retreat. I find it quite funny that I am talking about retreats, because I still remember exactly where I was when God told me that in the next year I should go on a retreat at least once a quarter. Because up until that moment, I had never gone on a retreat. In fact, the very first retreat I had, I was with my laptop. I was off from like social media and like any other platform, but I needed my laptop to research. And one of the first things I started researching on was, what do people do on a retreat? When I say it now, it sounds funny, but I was just like, so what am I supposed to do now? Because I was so used to always being on, I did not even realize how difficult it had become for me to shut out the noise and just be. It's it's a mind-blowing thing. I don't think many people understand how difficult it is right now to shut the world out and just exist. So it's like, okay, if you don't have your devices, if you don't have a book to read, if you don't have people to speak to, will you even enjoy your own company? Do you even know how to stay on your own? All those people that do, what's those things? Mindless meditation, Abby. Mindless meditation. I don't think meditation can be mindless. Maybe silence. All those, is it Buddhist something things where they go to like um weeks or days of silence, no speaking to anybody, all of those things. I don't think we realize how essential those kinds of breaks are, because it gives you time to sit with yourself. But in this instance, a retreat gives you time to sit with God, to get to know what are those things that God has been trying to say to you, that because you're so busy, you haven't even paid attention. Or what are those things that God is trying to correct you on? What are those things that God is saying, the way you are going, the way you are going, you're not going to make it. Oh. You're not going to make it. How will you hear when you're always in a hurry? So it's very important that you see it as a call to retreat and spend time with God. There's something I discovered on one of my retreats from, I think, Jeremy Kramer Ministries. I'll have to pull it up to read it. Okay, so from Jeremy Kramer Ministries, the meaning of rest. I'm just going to read out what he said. It's quite the long read, but bear with me. I think it will really be helpful. R is for reflect, and these are his own words. So when I say I, just know it's Jeremy Kramer speaking. R is for reflect. I could go ahead and add a second word, but it's actually the result of reflecting. That's refocusing. Rest, such as what God took in Genesis 2, was a moment of reflection. He looked back on the creation and noted that it was very good, and sanctified the Sabbath day. He set apart a day to reflect and take in what he had accomplished through his word. After the Sabbath, he was back to work, having Adam name the animals and creating woman. For us, it is crucial to take the initiative to focus. Like I'm always telling my oldest daughter, you need to be more aware. Reflecting creates awareness of our actions, emotional health, need for self-care, and helps us refocus our energy into productive activities. E is for energize. And he says, for me personally, this is the most difficult to master. Getting adequate rest, learning to say no to unimportant issues, eating healthy, and getting exercise are certainly not my strongest point. However, I am growing. It is surprising how much more energy you have when you start doing the right things to gain energy. S is for Sabbath. The last 2 points are related to our use of time. I am a big proponent of using a calendar. The critical issue is not to be ruled by your calendar. Instead, master your schedule by first guarding your Sabbath. You need to take time out to honor God and to personally reflect. You have to carve out time to rest. But you may be asking, how will I ever get things done? I can't relax if I force myself. I'm too worried about the next things or the things that aren't happening. Look at the next item, which is T for take your time. If you can't rest because of your schedule, you are being controlled. Yes, we may have seasons where we need to push our limits. However, we can't run on overdrive all the time. Our culture punishes those trying to rest. If you are not working or active, you must be lazy, is the focal point of many people. For me, we are better if we get into holy leisure. Don't overcrowd your schedule so much with commitments and activities that you have to rush to get everything done. For one thing, the quality will diminish. Secondly, you will be physically, mentally, and spiritually spent. Learn to plan strategically and plan your calendar accordingly. So you see that you're not the only person who is going through this or has gone through this or will go through this. It's sort of like, it's the circle of life. I digress, but I just want you to know that you're not the only person who's going through this. You won't be the only person to go through this, right? But it's very important. If you don't take time out to reflect, energize, enjoy the Sabbath, and take your time, you will find yourself like a hamster trapped in a wheel. You just keep going. You can never stop. You can never stop. And what happens? You're going to be drained. You won't be your best at work, in church, with your friends. You just will not be your best. You will just be this constantly burnt out version of yourself. And that's not good for anybody, most of all you. All right? So, overproductivity is a thing. Burnout is real. But I think that with these few steps that I've shared, it could help you get on the right track. If you have any questions, you can send me a message on Instagram or TikTok or even on YouTube, right? Just leave a comment. Even on Spotify, you can leave a comment as well. But just let me know. If there's also any topic that you want me to speak on, by all means, let me know. I think I don't want to say a lot of experience, but I do have some experience. And I will also be looking at bringing in some guests as well, so that if I don't have answers, they will definitely have some answers to share. All right. Until next time, this is Dear Young Person by NT. Be good. Bye.